Okay, so today on Limitless Calculus, we're going to be going over the power rule for Calculus 1. Okay, so for the power rule, there's one formula that we kind of have to remember and always follow, which is this formula over here. So in order to find the derivative of x to the power of n, so that could be x to the power of 6, x to the power of 8, so x to the power of a number, we have to, that equals, so we have n times x, and then x to the power of n minus 1. So whatever this here is, minus 1. Okay, so let's kind of look at an example to see how we can truly use that formula with it. So first we have f of x is equal to, we have 5 times x to the power of 7. So in this situation, we look back at our formula, our n is going to be 7, okay? So now we're here, we have 5 times x to the power 7. So we know that what we're going to do is first we're going to write our 5 here, but we're kind of going to forget about that for a second. And then we're going to bring that 7 down. So we have 7 times x, and then we have to do n, which is 7 minus 1. So we can once again look back at our formula and kind of see that's matching up with the formula. Okay, so what are we supposed to do with this 5 out here? So we're going to multiply that 5 in with the 7. So 5 times 7, 35. And then we have x, and then 7 minus 1, 6. So our final answer is we have 35 times x to the power of 6. Okay, let's try another example. So now we have negative 3x to the power of 10. So what we're going to do is we're going to write our negative 3 like normal, and then now we kind of have to bring that 10 down below. So we have times 10, then we have x to the power of, we have to do n minus 1. So 10 minus 1. Okay, so now we can kind of simplify this a little further. So we have negative 3 times 10, negative 30, and then x to the power of 10 minus 1, which is 9. Final answer, negative 30 times x to the power of 9. Okay, so now we have a little bit of a fraction. Okay, so we're just going to keep going as we normally do. So we know we have to bring whatever this number is out front. So then we'll rewrite it. We'll have 1 over 2 times x to the power of, now we have to do 1 over 2 minus 1. Okay, so let's do that calculation over here. We have 1 over 2, or 1/2, minus 1. We have to get common denominators. So we have minus 1 over 1. Common denominator would be 2, so we times both top and bottom by 2. And then we would get 1 over 2 minus 2 over 2. 1 minus 2 gives me negative 1 over denominator of 2. Okay, so now I can kind of go back here, and I can kind of write my answer now. We have 1 over 2 times x to the power of, we have 1 over 2 minus 1 gave us negative 1/2. But this is a negative exponent, and a lot of the times they don't like negative exponents. So we'll just rewrite this as a positive exponent. So we'll have 1 over 2, and we know in order to have a positive exponent, you have to bring that down to the denominator. And then we'll have x to the power of 1/2. So then this will be our final answer. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, we have 4 times x to the power of negative 3. So we kind of already know we're kind of going to ignore this first number here. So 4, then we'll just keep going with our business, and then we'll multiply that in at the end. So we know this is going to get multiplied in there. So we have times negative 3, and then we have x, and then we know I have to do whatever that number up top. So our n value, which is negative 3, minus 1. Okay, so now we'll just rewrite that. We have 4 times negative 3, which gives us negative 12. And then we have x to the power of negative 3 minus 1. That's going to give us negative 4. But we want to rewrite this using positive exponents. So we're just going to have to bring this to the denominator. So we're going to have negative 12 over x to the power of 4. Okay, so let's keep kind of going with those examples. Okay, so right now we have our x to the power of 4 in the denominator. We need to bring that up to the numerator, so we'll make that a negative exponent. So we'll have 2, because there's 2 up here, times we have x to the power of negative 4, because we're just bringing that up. And then now we can kind of use our formula. So we know nothing happens with this 2. That kind of just stays out there. It gets multiplied at the end. We know this is going to go out to the front. So 2 times we have negative 4. And then we have x to the power of negative 4. So, and then n minus 1. Okay, let's simplify that a little bit. So 2 times negative 4, negative 8, times we have x, negative 4 minus 1, negative 5. And then we'll rewrite this writing using positive exponents. Negative 8 over x to the power of 5. Okay, not too bad, I wouldn't say. Okay, so we'll just keep going with some of those examples. So right now we have 3 times x squared and all that to the power of 5. Okay, so we already know that this 5 is going to affect both the 3 and the x squared. So we'll rewrite that. We'll have 3 to the power of 5 times x to the power of 10, because we're just multiplying those in there. Okay, and then what we'll do now is we're going to kind of ignore this one like always, and then we'll move on to this, because this kind of, you have to multiply that in there. So then that's going to have, you have 3 to the power of 5 times 10. And then we have x to the power of, we have 10, so, and then n minus 1. Yes. So let's simplify that a little bit. So first we have to figure out what's 3 to the power of 5. So we have 3 times 3 times 3, and we'll do that 5 times. Okay, so we know 3 times 3 gives me 9. We have times 9. And then that times 3. So 9 times 9, 81. So we have to do 81 times 3. So we have 81 times 3. 3 times 1, 3. 8 times 3, 24. So we know 3 to the power of 5 gives us 243. And then that times 10, we just add a 0 there. So then we'll have 2,430. Then x to the power of, and then 10 minus 1 gives us 9. So then that's the final answer for that one. Okay, so now we have 7 over x. So we have to rewrite this. We have to bring that up to the top, which basically means it's going to have a negative exponent. So you have 7, and then you have x to the power of negative 1, because we're bringing that up to the numerator. Okay, and then now, once again, we have to bring this number to the front. So we have 7 times negative 1, and then x, we have to do negative 1, so minus 1. So now we'll have 7 times negative 1, negative 7, and then x to the power of negative 2, because negative 1 minus 1 gives us negative 2. Now we'll rewrite this using positive exponents. We'll have negative 7 over x squared. Okay, so now for our last example, we have negative 6 times x to the power of 2 over 3. So we're just going to do the same thing we've always done. So we have kind of our exponent that's going to get multiplied in there. So you have negative 6, and then we're going to multiply that 2 over 3. And then now we have x times, and we have 2 over 3 minus 1. So now we can kind of do this math in the corner. So whatever that is equal to, we'll have 2 over 3 minus 1. So in order to find this out, we have to have a common denominator. So we'll multiply the numerator and the denominator by 3. And then we're going to get 2 over 3 minus 3 over 3. 2 minus 3 gives us negative 1 over 3. Okay, so that's going to be our exponent. So now we have negative 6. We'll simplify this in a second. Over times 2 over 3. And then we have x to the power of negative 1 over 3. So first of all, I can already simplify some stuff. So I have negative 6 times 2 gives me negative 12 over 3. Then we have x to the power of negative 1 over 3. Negative 12 divided by 3, that gives me negative 4. And then I want this to be a positive exponent, so this right here, so I'll bring that in the denominator. So negative 4 over x to the power of 1 over 3. Okay, so that's everything for those examples. Okay, so if you found any of these helpful and you kind of understood how I explained it, make sure you click the link down below for the full calculus survival kit, because I go over this and a lot more. And there is day-to-day practice on there to kind of help you really understand the lessons. And there's plenty of practice problems on there. So make sure you click the link down below for the full survival kit. And make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below on what any other videos you would like to see.